officially calls to order at 9:01. I'm not doing too bad. We have a couple of introductions. Last time we went around the room, but we have a few faces here that were not here last time. And have we started Zoom so that
We had Amy's with us on.
You got Zoom going too?
I do.
All right, so I don't need to.
and do we have Jeannie yet?
No, not
Okay, those were the only two that I knew for sure were planning.
we just
to-
have Amy right now.
Okay, so Amy, she is on Zoom with us today, and I'd like to introduce Mr. Bob. How do I say your last name? I don't know. Of course, Zocus. That is, it trips right off the tongue. He has just joined us as our assistant superintendent from Bedford, so he can bring expanded expertise, just like all of you, which we find to be a really useful thing, and he's just a really nice guy. So we're excited to work with Bob. And we also have John was not here last time. I don't believe, John, you were traveling last month,
Yes,
so welcome back.
thank you.
And Michael, I believe, wasn't able to join last time, so hi, Mike.
Hello.
And I think everybody else was here, yes? All right, so first thing. What are we gonna do? Yeah, let's do this first. We're gonna set a couple of ground rules for going forward. So that we can be productive and respectful and we can get as much done as possible when we're together. So today we have name tags up. We'll try to make some more formal ones for next time. But we just want to be able to call each other by name. We want to be able to quickly be focused and not have to go, who was that again? Because that's just me maybe, but for all of us, we want to be able to address each other and be able to interact in an efficient manner. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have a speakers list. So a speakers list is something that I first experienced in community council and I really loved it. Because you catch the eye of whoever's keeping the list, and Greg has volunteered to do it for me. And then you know, okay, I am on the list and I can now put all of my attention to who's speaking. And when it's my turn, I will get called and I can, if my point's already been made, you can keep things moving by saying, I'm good, my point was already made. If you want to add on to something somebody else has said, you can certainly do that. Or if it's a totally new point, you can do that. But it just lets you be more focused and not worrying that somebody's seeing your hand or whatever. So all you have to do, catch his eye, make sure you catch his eye, he'll write you down, give you a nod, and then you can go back to the business at hand until your name is called. Everybody good with that? You understand how that works? I thought it sounded really simple and stupid, but it's like magic, because it just frees you up from having to be like, do you see me, do you see me? So that's one thing we're gonna do. Another thing we're gonna do is, this is a personal request, if we can use I language. I have experience in something, I have an idea, I have a question, a wonder. We're not gonna use you language because none of us, to my knowledge, are mind readers. So to say, well, you think, no. Only the person that you're speaking to knows what they think, so you can't assign that to them. You always this, you used to that, whatever. If you start using excessive you language, I'm gonna cut you off because it's just not productive. The other thing that I would ask is, so my grandson just turned 3 and he's potty training. So his favorite word right now, quite honestly, is poop. Bar none, favorite word. We use it in many creative ways. I spent an afternoon at the planetarium recently with a astronaut helmet on and I was Officer Poopy Head. And he giggled and we had a lovely time. In that context, I got to be cool Mimi. In this context, I would ask that nobody act like a poopy head. And certainly nobody call each other a poopy head or anything similar. There were some other potty words that came up after our last meeting. We're gonna avoid those two. Pissing matches, bad. Just negativity in general, right? We are going to all be adults in the room and we are all going to understand and we're going to assume the best intentions. Even if the details to get there differ, which they will, but we are going to assume good intentions and we're gonna be respectful. So everybody good with that as a ground rule? Yes?
Yeah.
Great. So the next thing I just want to mention is that we, as an SAU, we have a ton of meetings, y'all. So many meetings. And that's just, and all your businesses, I'm sure the same, and a lot of you have to leave today to go to meetings, so do I. But we don't record most of them. We record board meetings and we record a couple others, but most subcommittees we don't. This has traditionally been an exception because it used to be a joint facilities, so it had a lot of people in it. It was a way to kind of efficiently share that information. Then it was just talking about really large amounts that affected a lot of the community, so having it recorded seemed like a good idea. In trying to be consistent, we started this year not recording, but after some requests and after discussing it, we've decided that just to follow past precedent with this particular committee, we're going to continue to record these sessions only. And so, if you're uncomfortable with that, I would say honestly, I'm on year 9 of having most of the meetings I'm in recorded, and I just don't think about it. I focus about what's on hand. If I have to go back to the recorder for any reason, I am human, and I cringe when I hear myself speak or see myself on camera, but I just try to avoid that if I can. Otherwise, I'm in the moment. You know, watch your language. You're being, is going to be immortalized, but you do that anyway, because we just had that discussion. And so it's just, it'll be on, but don't worry about it, don't think about it. It's just there. So is everybody comfortable and okay knowing that you're gonna be recorded? So I certainly has never changed how I act or what I do because I'm pretty consistent. But for all of you, I would hope you can still be honest, you can still be forthright. But just be aware that that's a little bit different from last time, and we'll be doing it going forward. Now, that being said, we're gonna have work groups that we're breaking into, and those work groups will not be recorded. But I am going to ask you to use your SAU emails when you communicate. So if you're doing an action item, if you're sharing information, if you're reaching out to somebody, please use your official SAU committee email. Because we do have right to know still that applies to anything that's going on related to us. And so it's just cleanest and best. If you need to copy yourself on, say, your work email or another one that you check more often, I have 5 emails that I check multiple times a day because that's just my life. And I just have them in a row and I click, click, click. For a lot of you, you'd have a main one and that's the one you check. So if you want to copy yourself on that, it's okay. But make sure your SAU is part of any communication. Everybody good with that? Yeah, okay. We are going to, when we set up our work groups, understand that we're going to decide today how you want those to flow. You don't need to have a chair of it, you don't need to have a secretary, but you do need to elect somebody who's gonna kind of take a few notes and be able to bring things back to share with this full group. We're gonna be able to share by email if you want people to have a little bit of time with it. And so we will be, you will be making at least summaries and talking points and reporting out your research. And so you probably in each group want to kind of designate somebody who's gonna be, because then at the end, if you don't do it, someone will go, oh, I thought you were writing that down. And then that's just, therein lies facts, right? So you wanna do that. And the other thing we're gonna do is, you guys can decide what makes the most sense. If you want to physically meet together, that's great. If you want to Zoom, we can help you set up a Zoom or a Teams meeting. Like I know Teams is what I use at work and I'm the most familiar with at this point, but I can toggle back and forth. If you want to just do it by email and say, hey, we each took an action item and we're gonna update each other by email. That's cool too. Whatever you decide makes sense to you, I would say if you make any physical visits anywhere, it probably is good form to try and do with 2 people, so you can both hear something and then compare notes, like, this is what I heard, what did you think? And you can ask questions, and it's just a good practice to have 2 people when you can. Everybody good with that? Okay, I feel like I'm doing all the talking, I swear it's not gonna be all me today. So any questions on anything so far? Very good.
Good.
All right, what am I forgetting, Greg?
Nothing.
Okay, so those are just housekeeping. Any other things I haven't thought of that you guys would like to make as part of our joint agreement with each other? Covered all the hot points? Great. As of this for day and time, we did it this time, this month. We're gonna do it again next month. I think next month we'll decide whether we want to keep it on Tuesdays at 9 moving forward and make that just the calendar. Is everybody good with that? We'll kind of discuss it. So keep it in mind, look at how your workflow is going, and then we'll see if this turns out to be something that works for our group. We knew that the other time wasn't very good for us. I think this time looks a little bit better. But then the day, it was just for this particular doodle poll, what seemed common. So keep that in mind, we can move it, but we do want to make it as regular as we can for the school year. So we'll revisit next month. And that brings us to draft minutes from last month. So draft minutes, sorry.
I'm timing, Question, we talked a little about having like an evening.
So the evening, I think, would be more for kind of the work groups, that might be more
Okay,
convenient.
gotcha, yeah,
So they can decide what makes sense to them, but I think that for this meeting, since we have district employees that have to be part of it. We are gonna continue to keep it during the day if we can, that's,
got it, thank you.
yeah, we looked at either the beginning of the day or end of the day, and beginning, everybody agreed seemed better.
Okay,
So
got
we're
it.
trying it, we'll see how it goes. We are flexible, okay, so that brings us to draft minutes from last time, did everybody get a chance to take a look at them? Can I have a motion to accept them?
I'll make. a motion to accept.
All right, thank you, Mike L.
Can we,
We'll discuss it.
if there were any potential amendments, can that be discussed briefly or no?
Once we make the motion, then we can discuss the amendments.
Yeah, we have to move that it be voted upon, and then we'll have a discussion, and then we'll have a vote.
Yeah, well, the first
Motion.
we get the motion, and then we can discuss before we take the vote.
Yep.
And so do I have a second?
Motion.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, John. See, I love name tags.
Now any discussion.
And so, discussion.
Yeah, just, if there were a proposed amendment, just essentially state it.
This is it, yeah.
So
What do you want
if
to change?
amendments, normally what we do in full board meetings is you would send it by email beforehand, so everybody had a chance to take a look, but if you have them right now and you can hand them to Danae. We can all decide if just reading them out is enough. Be aware that minutes are just meant to be a high level accounting, they are never a transcription.
Yeah.
And they are some interpretation, obviously, because Danae does a great job of making us all sound more intelligent and succinct than we are.
Thank you. Vinay.
And so I personally appreciate it, but I know not everyone interprets it the same way, so,
So just sort of see if everyone.
Yeah.
All right, so
and hopefully it's
essentially,
brief.
there's only two, yeah, oh, yeah, it's very brief. There's only two, one of them is essentially completely and totally limited. The first one might be as well. There was just one point where, in the meeting where we, were discussing, having Mrs. Gascoigne come in or not.
Right.
Goes back and forth there. So essentially, I believe what the group agreed to, and this is the only reason for a potential amendment, where we all have the understanding that essentially. Mrs. Gascoigne was gonna send to us slides, videos and information to all the BAG members. Members review the information on their own time. If members have questions, they email to you, the chair, and then you consolidate those into something and weed out any unnecessary duplicates. And forward those questions to Mrs. Gascoigne. It was a little different in the minutes so since that was something that was, I think, agreed on. Did everyone have that same understanding and?
Yeah, I think so.
We're gonna hear your modification of the minutes. And all of them, whatever they are, and then we'll vote to accept those modifications to the minutes. And then we'll pass or fail, and we'll vote for the whole.
Yeah, that's essentially the summary of what.
Got it? That's all you want to
That's-
know.
I certainly think it's where we landed. I think we went a whole lot in between, but I think this is where we landed, I would agree. Everybody good with that? That's where we landed, okay.
All right, and then the second one, with the owl here, there was even more minor amendment than that. I'm gonna cross that one out because I think it truly is a moot point of this. So that was it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was really the only material one to what would move it, this meeting, this committee moving
So
forward.
now we just need to have a motion, right, Steve, to.
a motion to accept the amendments
Amended.
as presented, so you wanna make that motion?
I like the motion to accept as amended.
John, you wanna stick with the
Sure.
second? All right, so quick discussion, everybody okay? It seems like we agree with the amendments. So we'll hand that over to Danae,
Who's voting?
and you know what?
You gotta have the members.
Honestly, I don't think that we're above our total numbers, so everybody can vote today. Everybody who's present can vote. I think that we can be up to 9, and I don't think we're over 9, so I think we're
We had
good.
seven full members, I thought was, but we had 7 members, if so 4 was a quorum, is that what we're doing? Is that what we decided, Mike?
Yeah, 4 is a form.
So we have to define which 7 are voting.
No, I think we went up to 9 members, and so 5 is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay.
There you go, we're perfect. All right,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, is that what we have?
I wasn't here, so I'll just.
You don't vote, you
Yeah,
weren't here.
Yeah, I wasn't here, so.
Okay,
all right, there you go. So, we're voting on the,
as amended.
as amended, on minutes as amended. All in favor? All right, anyone against?
No one's online, right, Steve?
Anyone?
Okay.
And then I guess recusing themselves because they weren't here. No?
Abstain.
Abstain.
That's enough, but we voted the whole.
Okay, so we're unanimous
We're good.
and we are accepting minutes with the amendment as presented. All right, here you go. We've already accomplished something, you guys. Aren't you excited? Okay, we now have a board update. We have some playground stuff going on over at Wilkins that came up at the end of the year when we met in Primex. Mike, can you give us a quick update?
Yeah, I'll, have Roger and Amy, Steve chime in, but essentially, as people know, the playground needs to either be repaired or replaced. After some investigation and conversation, we determined that we're gonna replace this. The Amherst School Board discussed allotting funds to be able to do this. The goal was to have it prior to school if we can, or as close to school as we can. We're in the middle, it's a little bit of a complicated process in the sense that there's urgency behind this. Because this happened right before the end of school and getting the vendors lined up and getting the quotes and making sure that we use it as an opportunity to create a playground for all students and be inclusive. So we move forward in the process where essentially we're going to finalize which vendor we're gonna use within the next 24-36 hours, Roger. you think? And what we're gonna do is, in order to afford this, we're gonna use 3 buckets. We're gonna use money out of capital reserve, we're gonna use money out of special ed reserve, trust to make sure we're inclusive. And make sure we get equipment for all kids, and then we're gonna partner with the PTA. And that's where we're at now, there's a public hearing scheduled for that
On the 22nd.
on the 22nd. But with that said, Steve, Roger, Amy, you wanna add anything to the update on where we're at right now with it?
We're just finalizing, just the actual structure itself with the vendor. Kathleen's been working very closely as far as the play equipment that is actually going into Wilkins. Because it is a new equipment installation, the new quote requires that we have to have AD accessibility to all the equipment as well. So we've been looking at multiple options between, poured in place rubber and then the also bark mulch with the matting going over it. It is looking like we're doing poured in place rubber for certain parts of it as well. So we're just finalizing those numbers, with Kathleen, but like Mike said, 24-36 hours, we should have, the funds.
And this playground will be movable depending on the work that this school district does over the next few years. So that was part of the process too. Amy, Steve, anything that Roger and I are forgetting at this time?
No, I just think the movable piece is important because it's such inflexible. It's a significant partnership and funds. We want to be as flexible as we can. And Roger's gone over with the vendor how it is installed with the movable. We're all comfortable with that piece, which other districts in similar positions have done. So Amy, Kathleen, Roger, everybody's done a great job.
All right, anybody have any questions?
Amy's online. Anything else, Amy? Oh, I can't hear you. Is that me or you? Oh, no, it's you.
Yeah, I think you guys hit everything. Those are the main points. We're, still working very closely with 2 different vendors, comparing, trying to get, quotes so we compare apples to apples with everything and ensuring that all costs are included in the quotes so that there are no surprises with costs, and also taking, as you said, a look at the different options. The poured in place rubber seems to be better for accessibility. It's a little more expensive, but it's likely worth it. Just for students to be able to access the equipment. So Kathleen's done a really good job working with the vendors, and Roger and I are examining everything very closely. I've taken a look at the warrant articles that established these funds, and these costs are in line with the proposed costs. They are held by the trustees of the trust fund, who will eventually release the funds, but I've done a review of that. So we feel comfortable moving forward. We're appreciative of the PTA and their partnership, and have been in contact with them multiple times over the process to talk to them about their process for providing reimbursement to the district.
Thank you, Amy.
Yep.
So, the movable part really is an exciting part. I didn't even know it was a possibility, because I know when we had to switch out for septic over at Clark, we had to, we didn't get to reuse anything. We had to do an entirely new playground. And that one is where it is. It is, it moves, it is not movable. So we have done this with everything that we've done at Clark and Wilkins over the last that I can recall, ever since we've been talking about doing a possible project, is we try to invest in things that could go with us if they needed to. So this is just one more example, like in the library, we put things on wheels, so that it's more flexible right now, but it also could move to a different room. When we buy any kind of furniture, that furniture could move. And this is just one more example of trying to add some flexibility into what we're doing. So, everybody good?
Just a quick question, if I could,
Sure.
just, so I know like there was a warrant article last year for like the money going to the capital reserve for like Amherst Middle School roof, does taking any of the money from there like affect that project for next summer? Okay. Checking on that just to.
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons that we also are embracing partners.
Yeah.
So that it's not a surprise that it derails that work.
Okay, good.
But thank you. It's a
Yeah, no, I
excellent
just wanted to
question.
double check and make sure.
Yeah, the capital reserve, that CNA plan that we refer to is a living document. So Roger and I work closely as things come up to move things around, but the roof project is not in jeopardy.
Thank you, sir. And
Can Roger or Amy send everybody on this committee the quotes whenever they come in? All quotes,
Sure.
great, thanks.
yeah, I mean, I don't think we're being asked to make a recommendation one way or the other.
Just take a look
It's
at
just
it,
an
yeah.
informational.
Thanks.
And
All right.
and Greg, for the public hearing, I'll have a full memo explaining the entire process and have backup documentation for that as well.
Sure, I have no doubt, Amy, thank you.
So I'm gonna go out of order real quickly, just because we have some people who need to leave early, and I wanna get to it while they're still here. The facilities planning overview. Did you guys get a chance to take a look? Did everybody get it? Everybody's email is working. I know that there were a few that were having trouble accessing their email, but I'm using the official ones now. So everybody's good? Okay, any questions? I thought it was pretty self-explanatory, and some really great information, and thank you for all of the help in pulling that together. Is everybody feeling like we're on at least the same page for where we're starting? That you have access to historical information? Yeah? Okay.
The other thing I didn't see was the original master planning document from 2020. I don't know if I was looking for that, pretty sure that was on that.
So Roger, I know you switched out one of the master plans to the most recent. Do you know,
LBA 2020, is that what we're looking for?
I believe so, is that?
Yeah, I think that's right.
LBA 2020 is just the Clark Wilkins. They did a full Amherst School District with AMS and Clark Wilkins. Some of it is redundant, but I can add that. I can share that with Barry and we can add.
It was the only thing that was referenced that wasn't able to like go back and see that document, so if. It probably doesn't have a lot of additional information. I was just curious as to whether we could access it.
John just wants a gold star for doing his full homework, for noticing I was gone. I think you can send it, yeah,
I can share that.
okay,
Thank you.
thanks, John. So again, that's just to go back and inform the work we're doing now, what's already been done, and to know what's already been done. Some of that we may go into deeper as we get going, but we wanted to give all of us like even playing field for where we're starting. All right, so that being said, we're gonna come back now to the charge that has come from and I know I also sent this to everybody, but we're gonna go over each one briefly, and then we're going to divide ourselves into working groups. And so just at the highlight of it, I'd like to point out that the role of the committee is expected to approach this work with an open mind, rely on data-driven analysis, and engage stakeholders effectively to develop viable recommendations for our educational facility needs. And so the whole open mind and non-biased means however you came in is great. Of course, you're gonna have experience, but we're all gonna start working together and come to our new recommendations together is all that that's asking for, right? Is saying to understand that while you may already have in your head how you think things ought to go, we're gonna work together to come to our recommendations and try to not give too much weight one way or the other until we've had those full discussions. So everybody good with that?
Roger has hand up.
Just looking at your planning overview, it does have, sorry, I just lost it. LBA master plan K through 8 2020 is in there with LBA Harvey floor plans.
Okay.
I did share the document and I'm not the owner though, when I click on the link, it says you need access.
So you may just need to request access.
Okay.
Sometimes Microsoft's tricky that way, and
There's a lot of files like that.
yeah, whoever has it,
Set up
so
in
yes.
some weird time.
If you have any trouble, let me know.
I wonder, yeah.
Okay, so. And that's where, whatever, commitment to non-biased facilitation, board members serving on the committee will ensure a fair, respectful process, provide clarity when needed, and facilitate access to board administrative input upon reasonable request. I think the big thing here is just. There are a lot of us, and there are a lot of boards, and there are a lot of subcommittees, as we just referenced before. When it's anything that requires Roger's time, Amy's time, Mike's time, Steve's, any of the above, any of the SAU employees, we have to be respectful and mindful and organized about it, right? Because they're having a lot of requests from a lot of areas. So I will say that if you have a working group and you have the need for something, if you could either start with me, or you can start with kind of consolidating your requests so that we, like, I know that I've asked them to look for times to do, building tours. It's been a little while since I've walked through, like, I have helped to relocate after we've had fires and portables, but I haven't been in the portables all of last year because I didn't have a kid in fourth grade and I didn't have a reason to be, right? So what they look like this minute, I haven't been in them in a while. We were finishing some murals that were collaborative murals at AMS last year, but, I was sick on graduation, so I didn't get to see the mural. So there, I think it would really behoove all of us, even if you've been in the buildings before, to see where they are as of right now. And so, we're gonna be set up some tours at each of the buildings that we're dealing with. If you can come, it would be great. If you can't, I understand, but we're trying to make it like a late afternoon and with Roger. So he can answer questions and we can look with very specific questions in mind. Because we're going to have our charges. So is everybody good with that? Okay, so that will be coming up, just something to look forward to, something to keep an eye out for. But now we're going to get into the 3 areas that the full board has asked us to focus on this year. And this is always, this particular committee, it's a little different every year if you've been on it for a while. I know, John, you've been on it for a while, and every year is a little different, right?
I just want to know what the
Okay.
school board wants to do with Wilkins School.
Well, you know what? It's funny you should ask, because that is absolutely one of the charges that we will be investigating.
It's required.
It is, absolutely. So, the first one, and I'm just gonna go over them all real quickly. I have them up on the board as well, and then we'll take those and we'll break out and you guys can talk about depending on the group you're in, okay? That's how I foresee this going, just keep moving quickly. So at a high level, the one area that we need to look at, and I would just like to explain the timeline. Even if we put a bond on the ballot this spring, it doesn't mean that work would start this summer, this coming summer, 26. It means the summer after first shovel might go into the ground, right? And then you still have at least a year or 2 years of whatever you're doing in construction and back and forth. And so regardless, we are going to have the need for the portables we currently have and maybe even more. And if anything, any major construction is going on, there would also be probably a need to move kids around while that's happening. And so.
All that is documented already. And what the cost would be.
What the board has asked for, John, is that we look at assessing the condition of the existing portable classrooms and their viability for continued use. So can we continue to crutch them along for how much longer or not? And what would it take to make that happen? Develop an interim leasing replacement strategy that aligns with enrollment projections and instructional needs. How many portables are needed to address programming adequately? And this is a twofold thing. It would be, if nothing else changed, you know, what would it take to still programmatically deal with our enrollment and do the programs we want to do? Would we need to add portables? Would we need to, what would that look like financing wise? And then identify funding sources, including capital reserves, potential grants and budgetary allocations to support timely and cost-effective replacements. And so the thought is both short-term and long-term. If we only had to do it short-term, what would that look like? Or if we feel like we need to provide this as a recommendation long-term, like beyond, say, that 5-year period, where they're just gonna be part of our life, like they have been for the last 20 years, what does that look like? Now, of course, personally, I hope that we get to avoid them for the next 20 years. However, for that kind of 5-year block, we do need to do something. And so this is just a real pragmatic one. And we'll get back to that one. So I know we have done some work, John. I agree with you. We have some pricing, but we need to just have updated pricing, and especially, I mean, the world has changed. There's lots of new factors and cost. Mike?
So you mentioned a few factors and costs, but are we reconfirming all of the data we have, even these assessments for student population are 5 years old, right? And our data provider has been incorrect year after year after year on enrollment projections, and we've just gone down. So we also reevaluating the actual need, or are we just reevaluating the actual cost, saying we're just going based on the 5-year-old data?
I think it could be a combination. We've actually changed some of our projections. We have changed to a different provider, and it's taken a few years to get more accurate. But Steve, remind me, who are we currently getting our?
So we get an updated enrollment projection every spring, so twice a year. So we have, and I don't know, if we can surely get that to people, but it's NESDEC, New England School Development Council, who does our projections. And they just recently gave us an update in the spring.
Right, and NASDAQ has been wrong every year for, I don't know how many.
So I think, and then the long.
Well, I don't
I
want.
think the board said, I think the board
Right.
wanted, might just hit the question, I think, and then, I think we had voted on very high level 3 focus areas. So the one is the portables, and I don't think there's much description in there that's gonna say, please don't look at. You know, this part of the portable, like, I think it's a very holistic assignment that we want to hear recommendations on, is that fair?
Well, and I think that enrollment is certainly part of it, but enrollment is always a little bit of a crystal ball, right? Like, you can get as close as you can get, but it's never gonna be exact. Because you can't predict some things. You can't predict that suddenly, like during pandemic, a lot of people went to the suburbs that had been in the cities, and that was, 2 years before that, who would have had that in their predictions, right? Like, that just wasn't. So I think that we do the best we can with the information sources available to us, and so that would definitely be part of it. That's not the only part of it. And even when they're off, they're not off by like magnitude of hundreds. They're usually off by magnitude of like within 50. I mean,
That's considerable. A lot of students.
All right, so let's just
I
say.
mean, it is, but at least when they're off, right?
So I'm hearing,
If it was in portable, the portable assignment, the portable group subcommittee, they have a lot of free range in that portable system to evaluate and make recommendations. And
Yeah, absolutely. And
That's all- that's all
this
we
is
need.
one that is an actual recommendation report that's being asked for by October. So this one is not just a, hey, tell us what you did. This is an actual looking to get to a recommendation by October. So it's not a very long timeline. So a much broader charge would be difficult, but hey, if you want to dig in and try, we would love it. It's just, I think that gets real tricky, right? And I wouldn't get too crazy caught up in enrollment because kind of like hand grenades, close is close enough usually on that. You just don't want to be wildly off.
no, I understand that, but we've had a lot of things, we get 4 less paraprofessionals. There's a lot of things that have changed because of enrollment drops, and now there's a lot more space in the building, so I just wanna make sure
Can I add?
we're reviewing
Sure.
updated data.
Enrollment in New Hampshire is very much in flux.
Yeah,
We talked about this, there's gonna be winners and losers. With EFAs and open enrollment, depending on how that plays out. So no one has a handle on enrollment. Because of the current legislature and what's happening at the DOE. And so I think enrollment is important, but I think the lay of the land is, it is wide open right now. And I think you're going to see EFAs used, I think you're gonna see EFAs used in a variety of ways. I do think open enrollment, Steve and I were at a conference last week. Very, very heated and emotional conversation from legislators and superintendents. So I think, to your point, it's very important, but being able to be accurate right now in Hampshire is very challenging. Just because of the way things are playing out, so we'll continue to monitor from our end and give our best recommendations to the boards in this group. And but we'll just keep plugging away at that.
Yeah, and my main point is I think we need to revisit the data as well.
Yeah.
Across all of these efforts, we need to revisit all of the data, because a lot of it is 5, 8, 10 years old. We should review a lot of that data to understand where we are today. Right.
And that I totally agree with, and that's one of the reasons that I think that on all of this, and to your point, John, even though we have looked at it, we're just looking to make sure that the information we already have is still accurate, or if we need additional information. And so there's gonna be a lot of that, because some of these things, it's been a while and factors change. And so I think that's a great point, Michael, thank you.
Sure.
All right, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, I think I largely agree. Let's always like make sure we have good data. I would be interested to know what percentage we are off, like with this, the NASDAQ is off from actuals. Like if it's 50 kids across 8 grades, that might not be that much, but on the other hand, like, what's our capacity in each
Right.
grade? Because I mean, maybe that puts us over to a new classroom that we need for a grade. So having that information to compare the data against would help.
Yeah, in that perspective, I agree. Aaron?
Just going back to one thing you said, a quick question. You said that, I believe we changed providers or consultants or something. If it's better to just email you for the purpose of time, was there a change? Because I thought we were talking about enrollment, which is NASDAQ, and I think we just said that was NASDAQ. Were you referring to someone else, or what was that?
4 years ago,
change?
it was.
The change was 4 years ago, so
Yeah.
we changed from someone else to NASDAQ. Okay, thank you for the
Yeah.
clarification.
In order to try and be more accurate, actually,
All
we're, so,
I thought that was a recent change, and then I heard NASDAQ again, I'm like, that's not adding up, so thank
But
you for the
it
clarification.
takes several cycles to get more accurate.
Yeah.
And so that was my broader point, was that we did change to try to be more accurate, but it also takes them a couple of cycles. It gets more accurate as they go. And then there are a couple of wild cards that just throw everybody into it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, next one. I'm going to go in order. So AFB building and grounds maintenance, and this is one that is super important, y'all. They're all important, but this is another one that we need to have an actual, report to ASB no later than October, and that is to review the financial needs for maintenance, upgrades, and modernization efforts at the following sites: Clark, Wilkins, and Amherst Middle School. Work with the Director of Facilities, present an updated CIP, capital improvement plan, CNA, capital needs assessment, and then the onsite insight report was completed in 2017. And even though we have revisited to some degree, we need to very specifically, again, look at the next 5 years really specifically. To say, what do we absolutely need to do to just be safe and to make sure that we are addressing all of our learners, especially with some of the ADA things. And then ADA compliance is its own bullet point on this one. And so I would say in here, one thing that's also come up from quite a few of you is what's the cost of doing nothing, is what it's usually termed as. And I think that we need to have a better understanding of what that actually means and what that looks like. So I would like to add that to this one is, if we didn't do any major project, what would be the cost of keeping our current building, but making it safe and reliable and taking us through the next 20 years? That's the option. So.
I think that also had the solar in that bucket, right?
Yeah, and I didn't see it in.
We didn't, I think we had it in our discussion afterwards, we were discussing where the solar.
We added it to the list as well.
Okay, yeah, I think that second bucket, I think is also the solar.
I don't think that made that list though.
It didn't make the list, but it was on the discussion we had.
I noticed that was sitting there.
There you go. I keep a handy Sharpie with me at all times, yes.
That's
Yeah, that's right.
I say email me that.
Yeah,
Thanks, Mike. See you.
and Mike had already told me that he had an unavoidable conflict, but I already know where he wants to go. Okay, and then recommendations for Clark and Wilkins, John, your favorite one. Analyze if a prior proposal may be further refined for successful passage. And I would say this is one that I don't foresee there being a ton of time spent on, because I think that the current one that's been on the ballot twice has already been refined, to my mind, quite a lot. And I'm certainly open to any new tweaks, but I think it's been tweaked and tweaked some more. So I wouldn't expect there to be a lot of time. It's like, this is an option that we are familiar with. What I would like to see the time spent on is really the other bullet points of analyze renovation options for existing facilities on a smaller scale. Michael?
Is that, are we saying we're just gonna present it as is?
No,
Is
I'm
that- okay,
saying,
Same as the portable, it's gonna be, these top bullets are not. Thou shalt not do anything but. Okay, it's just like guidance, the main topic here is the facilities.
so I'm saying of these bullets, I feel like this is the one that probably needs the least research, because we already understand this option pretty well. Whether that's the final recommendation or not, that recommendation is well understood. That particular option is well understood, and so it can be looked at to see if there are some tweaks available. But I would say that the other bullets are the ones where, new work or revisiting work needs to be done more so than that one. I think that that one has been the most researched.
I would say I agree, there's been the most research out of the bullets, but it's the most contentious. And a lot of people believe that it hasn't been researched fully. And so I would say, I think there is a lot of work there, if you're gonna wanna get that other. Get it over the line to that 60% mark, I think there needs to be a lot more revisitation than polishing the current plan and representing. And so that's all I would say is, I think we need to agree that, although yes, it has the most research, there's still more to be done. Just because how contentious.
Absolutely could be. So let's get through all the bullets and then I think it'll make more sense.
Okay.
So analyze renovation options for existing facilities on a smaller scale, or alternate grade configurations. Focusing on smaller scale improvements that enhance functionality and extending building lifespan. Evaluate the feasibility of a new build on a smaller scale, including cost analysis, location considerations, and impact on educational programming. And then present a comparative report outlining the benefits, challenges, and funding pathways for any recommendations presented. So that, what I mean to say is these other things, I think, are where I see the bulk of this time possibly going. To say, let's revisit maybe original plans that we didn't go with. Let's look at what could be different ways we could approach and eat this elephant, you know, as opposed to this one. I do think we have a strong understanding of an option. It is an option that could be pursued. It is certainly one that we understand well. It is, we know the grades that we're looking at, we know the size we're looking at, and the relative cost with another 3 to 4% if we look at traditional wisdom, right?
Understand.
And so-
Apologies, I spoke too soon before.
Yeah. And so really, this is the board saying, feel free to go back to the drawing board, y'all. We're open to anything, and you'll understand that this one is an update. And the update would very likely be that if there were any significant change, we'd probably have to go back and ask for funding to have plans drawn, or to take something to bid, or to do something else. And so this is one that the update at that point, maybe we need more time before we can make a recommendation, or it may be, can you please look at scheduling a hearing so that we can have funds available to us so that we can do fill in the blank, and continue this work to come up with a formal recommendation. It's just for an update by October to see where this work is at that time.
Understood.
So does everybody understand the charges at least?
Hold on, Jeannie has a question.
Okay, Jeannie.
Jeannie, you wanna, oh, there she comes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I just wondered if part of that, that particular, section ought to include, a townwide survey that, elicits responses regarding, why people didn't vote for it or why they did vote for it, and what it would take to reach 60%, because I think that that information is critical in terms of, you know, how we proceed with presenting an additional proposal like this. Because if we don't have that information, we're missing a big chunk.
So I think same thing that Harry's saying to Michael Mita's question, it's, if you're on that topic, you can look at other options that you want to accomplish those bullets, and we're not gonna tell you at this level, don't do something. It might not be something that gets passed through the board, but if you're looking at the first sub bullet there, that seems like a reasonable thing, Jeannie, I think you can consider if you're on that section, right?
So I know that this was definitely a discussion in the last meeting as well, Jeannie, that we talked about forums that are coming up. We talked about whether or not additional surveys, and I think that is absolutely, and that may also be part of the update that we give, that we say, hey, we've gone as far as we can with some other things, but now we're asking you, board, to do these things, right? I think that it's a conversation that can be had. I certainly think we have received a lot of input. We have done surveys after each vote to some degree. We do have a lot of input. But I wouldn't take it off the table.
Sure.
And so I think that for that group, that's absolutely something that we could look at making a recommendation and asking the board to do something with.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Drew.
Yeah, I just wanna say that, I mean, if you wanna go talk to people, go talk to people, but I do think we have some, based on things that have been said publicly by lots of us in here. I think we have some diverse opinions in here.
Yes.
So I think we have representation that if we can figure out amongst us what needs to change to get something that could pass, I think we might have voices in the room that represent enough like different ideas.
True, and I think that's a great point, and I think that also voices in the room have contingents of people that they hang with in town that they can go specifically and speak to and ask some specific questions to. And that's one of the reasons that we actually expanded the number of people that are on this committee, quite honestly, is that we wanted to have a diversity of thought. Yes, Aaron?
So just to clarify, one more clarifying point, the way that this document was written, and we've just added solar to it, which I noticed that was missing, and that was a question I.
Yeah, and we
That's-
talked about it, so I don't know how to make it.
But the way it was worded, it seemed like the board was asking us to pick which of these points, or each individual one of us wanted to focus on. That's not what this is. We're not saying, oh, I'm interested in A and B, not C. And it's not that once we choose something, or we can't get off that road and look at the other things. For example, look at solar or the portables or anything. This is just sort of giving us an idea of what we're gonna be discussing.
Yes
It's
and
not that
no.
we have to, do we have to like pick it, once you're on that road, you can't get off it, or?
No. So that's a great question.
For example, just a little bit more clarification, for example, facility, Wilkins project and facility needs was one of them, and maintenance was another, but those are almost on equal footing. I mean, the elephant in the room is facility needs, but maintenance is not, shouldn't really be much below that. So that was one of my concerns, is if we're asked to pick one of these, I would hate to get tunnel vision and neglect others for that reason. The
So,
way it was worded, I had that concern.
so what they have asked us is these are the 3 areas they would like us to focus on.
Yeah.
They have asked for some very specific things from us. On the portable, they've asked for a recommendation and a report by October. On building and maintenance, they've asked for a report. And if there are also recommendations at that point, we can absolutely make them, but that one is just a report. And then for the third one, for the recommendations for Clark and Wilkins, that one's just an update by October. So all 3 of them will be actively worked. And they are equally important in the board's eyes. However, I would say that for the people in this room, I am asking you to choose kind of rank choice. Like if you were to go vote and you get to do rank choice, like, well, let's do what I really like, but here's my second choice, third choice, right? I'm gonna ask you to commit to one of the 3 to do deep work on. You can choose more than one, but at least one. And then those work groups are going to do the deeper work, and they're gonna come and bring it back to the full committee, and then the full committee is going to bring that work to the full board. Does that make sense?
So it sounds like we are being asked to sort of pick and choose which ones, and I don't know how everyone else here feels, but.
Hold on, it's like 4 people question, same thing. Terry and I do not have a jail. We're not going to lock you up if you break from one to another. Everyone, we should have jail, Terry. Everyone can be as productive as possible, document as much as you can, give it a 25 refresh, give updates to the whole committee at these meetings. We want you to focus on these as written, and you're right, they're all interplayed, but try to focus on what one of these 3 buckets. And work with other people to make sure we have a collective Amherst School District wide vision that we can recommend to the school board. But nothing here is saying you can't work on something, be as productive as possible, work with others as possible. And we're gonna try to get to a good draft before October. We owe the Amherst School District, Amherst School Board a report, each of these 3 areas by October. And if history holds, there's gonna be more things pop up between now and October. So let's try to get off to a good start here with these 3 buckets. So we're just gonna have to, like Scott said, we're gonna each try to pick which one we prefer. And we want you to stay focused on that, and you're responsible for that area, but you can certainly.
We're gonna choose an area of primary focus, but then you can have a secondary focus too. If you have the bandwidth that you want more than one. I'm not going to limit you, but I'm gonna say at least one. I'm asking you to choose at least one.
So I don't know how everyone else felt, but my concern, and to your point, you made a fantastic point. On surveys, we have a lot of representation in this room,
We do.
because there's very diverse opinions here. I would hate to see that, certain, people get here's your charge, here's what you're focusing on, and then you can't now discuss.
Well, no.
You're focusing on facility needs, but you can't discuss maintenance now and so on. As long as we don't get stuck in that jail, so to speak. Let's move it, I do, and I don't everyone else
There's
here.
no problem right now, let's not put it in our head, just move, and as there's a problem, we'll address it, but let's just move, be productive, document things, create artifacts and report back.
So what I'm gonna ask for right now is that we're just going to go ahead and we're gonna put names with each of the work groups for your first choice of where you'd like your initial primary focus to be. And you can choose a secondary too if you want. And I know that Mike has put himself, he let me know beforehand,
Yeah, okay.
that he is going to be under, the maintenance one. As his first choice, and then I think this was his second choice. So then obviously, we all are gonna be discussing together after some of this work happens, right? It's just that the initial research and work, we can't all be scattered across everything at once. It's just not possible. So it's just for focus. So I'm just gonna start here and come around. All right, John, you know,
I'd be the same as Mike, actually. So that'd be my first, that'd be my second.
middle school, yeah.
Got it.
Oh, sorry.
And I think handwriting.
Yeah, I really don't have that.
A lot of it's handwriting.
Okay, so where do you wanna go?
The third one, Clark Wilkins, and then buildings, maintenance, whatever.
Maintenance, okay.
For two. Second choice.
Don't forget you.
Right, and John B.
Wilkins. I'd like a copy of that, please. Hard copy. As I'm restricted by mail.
Yeah, let me- All right, Aaron.
What's the first and second one up there? I can't see.
Portables, and then the maintenance.
And then recommendation, Clark Wilkins.
Clark and Wilkins, all right, so. But if Clark and Wilkins have subcommittees going in different directions as well, correct? So,
Yeah, so this is the one where we're saying, hey,
all right,
we're gonna be revisiting what were things that we looked at and set aside that maybe we need to revisit. We're gonna look at what are some configuration we might want to consider, it'll,
all right, so, I would say Clark Wilkins.
is your first choice.
And I almost on equal footing with the buildings and grounds maintenance, that those are really two equal to me, so I would love to, I have the bandwidth to look at those. Is solar coming into this as well?
That is the second.
Well, yeah, and it's also part of the budget.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess at the very bottom would be the portable leasing. Solar, I am interested in, however, I've done almost all the work I need to do on that front, so.
I'll
it's
just
not that-
leave it, you're
It's
good.
not,
One
it's not,
second.
yeah, that can be further down.
Great.
Same, third, Clark
Three, two.
Wilkins is one and maintenance is two.
I'll meet a pick. I'm sharing it for you.
And fine, you.
Let's go down here.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Val.
go with Clark Wilkins and the portable replacement. One is Clark Wilkins.
Okay, that's one, three.
Michael Hay.
And Sue, or here.
No,
Other one, number one.
Okay, sorry, I misheard. Okay. That's all I get you there, right?
Valley.
Yes, Sue.
Wilkins and then the portables.
All right.
We got Jeannie on here as well, I don't know if she's muted.
And then Sue.
I'm gonna do, I would say Wilkins and then actually glass.
Yeah.
All right, Jeannie, what are your choices? Do you see the three options?
You know, I'm at a real disadvantage here because I can't see them in front of
So
me.
the first one is essentially portables. The
Yep,
second one is essentially the maintenance of the buildings that exist, including the solar discussion. And the third topic is the Clark Wilkins project.
So probably my first choice is Clark Wilkins and the second is maintenance.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so. What I'm going to recommend then is that we take. Where are we at? Oh, look, we're just getting down to 10 o'clock, so I know that you have to leave.
I'll stick around for minutes.
Okay, for the next little bit that we're together, until everybody has to go, we are scheduled until 10:30. We can take the full time if we're able, but if you need to leave for other work commitments, I understand. I'd like us to break into these groups for today. If you can go into your first choice group, let's make sure we have at least one person who can be in the other ones. Yeah, okay. John, your first choice with you is Mike, and he's not, he
Yeah,
has to leave. So.
I could meet with myself. Or all the people who want portables.
I'll meet over there with them.
Yeah, if anybody who's also on maintenance would like to at least talk with John for today, to start off with a list of action items and ways that you guys might want to organize. And then I will lead the discussion for Clark and Wilkins, and then the portables. Is
You
it
can swap
David's
my
first
priority.
choice?
I'll swap mine and I
Put him
can
over there.
portables.
Okay, so Michael, you're gonna be number one on this one?
No, just for now, just for now. Today's there. These are the two.
Okay.
But it'll be just today.
So we're gonna say, you're willing to facilitate this, you're willing to facilitate this. And you know what, I
don't know. There's often the name because.
are you willing to reflect? Yeah, so it's like for today's one, we want to do that'd be great. If you talk to John and.
Jeannie, it's gonna get messy and probably gonna turn off the webcam. Do you want to stay on for this discussion?
Sorry about that.
I'm good at talking to myself.
Yeah, I would imagine.
She did vote.
What is the same is time?
I think I'm gonna have to leave because it's a little too difficult to operate from afar. So I will get into the game later on.
Hi, Jeannie.
Bye, take care.
Yeah, Tara's in charge. Tara, do you wanna?
So I'm sorry, Jenny, what was your recommendation?
You mean my choices?
I have your choices, but what's your recommendation for, I know it's awkward to do it, from a distance. I would say that the majority of people do want to discuss Clark Wilkins today and how we might go forward in that one. It's like almost everybody is on both, quite honestly.
I think she's just making a comment on moving forward or not. I
She was saying
think,
she had hard listening, wants to go offline, so I think we should just.
Yeah,
turn
I
off.
I just think it's too hard for me to operate with that, without being there. So I will be in the game, but just not at this point.
No, that's okay. So Jeannie, can I ask for a specific action item? Can I assign you something?
The action item for me, if I can pick one, is to find ways to make sure that we have feedback from the community. That's key to me.
Okay, so if you want to come back with a more specific like list of questions or recommendation to the work group.
I will
some
do that.
Examples of what you'd like, that'd be great.
I'll do that.
All right,
Definitely.
thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, Jeannie.
All right. Later. Okay.
Want to fill those in now, Tara?
So I think that we can, it's gonna be cacophony, so do you wanna
Whatever you boss.
turn off recording for this part, because we're gonna be in work groups?
Yeah, Amy, we're gonna close it. They're going off in work groups.
Okay. Bye.
All right.
Thank you, Miss Amy.
So I'm
Bye.
ending the meeting.
Okay,
If you want me to turn it back on later, you just let me know.
So if everybody's okay, I'm going to adjourn our full meeting and then we'll just do a half hour of work group planning. Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.